This man was knocking on somebody's door. It was really late into the evening, and the homeowner opened the door. He said, "What do you want?" He said, "Sir, there is a family. They are in great trouble. I've been going from door to door. They desperately need $3,000. And I've managed to raise 1,000. I'm still short of 2,000. I've heard a great deal about your kindness. So I've come to you with great hope." And the man said, "Okay, come on in, sit down. Tell me what the matter is." He said, "The very young family, they got 4 kids. The husband lost the job 6 months ago. He's out of job. The wife's just taking care of the home, and she can't go out and work. And if they don't get $3,000, if they're unable to pay their rent, by tomorrow they'll be kicked out. They'll be out on the street. And I would hate for that to happen. I really hope they can stay on and have a roof over their head." The man says, "Listen, God's given me enough. What's the shortfall?" He said, 2,000. "Here's 2,000, he says. "Are we done?" He says, "Yes, this will take care of them for sure." He says, "But who are you, Are you related to them? And how come you are so kind? And I've never seen somebody raising funds for somebody else." He said, "I'm the landlord. I would hate to kick them out." How not to get affected in the process of filtering other people's poison when extending kindness towards them. So how not to get affected with other people's poison when extending kindness towards them, and where to draw the line between insulation and kindness. Very simple. I'll give you 2 golden rules. But wait a little. First of all, I think you've really got to remember that complete insulation is not possible. It is not possible to remain totally unaffected. And you must have noticed actually in your own life as well, it's not as hard to be kind to strangers. It comes somewhat easy to us. They massage our ego. You do something for them, they're standing like this, "My bap." You say, "No problem, I'm a kind man. I'll do it for you." It's not hard to be kind to somebody who has accepted that I'm much lower than you are. It's easy because they are evoking such emotions in you. It is much harder to be kind to somebody who's your equal. And that is why it is least practiced in a family. In a family, people are not really kind to each other. You bang into somebody while you bump into somebody while you're walking outside. So, "Excuse me, sorry, I'm sorry I didn't see you." Do the same at home and say, "Andhe ho gaye kya? You can't see." "Can't you see? Have you gone blind? You've put this thing here, you put this furniture, this table. Why have you done all these things?" And out comes everything comes bubbling out, tumbling out like there's no tomorrow. But that's the real test of kindness. What was earlier was merely a display of kindness, not real kindness. That was the kindness the other person earned. You didn't give it. To be kind regardless is real kindness. And I'm not saying it's easy. As I said, it's not possible to fully insulate yourself. But always remember one thing, the universe, it's a magnificent place. It's really a beautiful, divine place. It is perhaps the kindest there is because it knows how much to give you in terms of responsibility. Whatever you may be, wherever you may be on the journey of life, it will never burden you more than what you can handle. That's the glory of God, of universe. It knows inherently, just instinctively, just by its very existence, how much you can handle. And it'll never give you more than you can handle. So if you are getting affected by those around you, first of all, please understand it's very normal, very natural. It's expected. Because somewhere it shows that you are still connected with that person, that you still care. Whether you care in hatred or love, there is care. As Elie Wiesel said, the opposite of love is not hatred, but indifference. Problem comes when you become indifferent to the other person. That's the time to move on, to I suppose, call it quits. But the question you have to ask yourself before I share with you the golden rules, do you have a choice in this matter? Are you saying you are being kind to somebody because you want to be? Or they are so smart they haven't given you a choice? Which of the two is the case really? Because if you don't have a choice with this person, then I don't see how you are being kind. You're just, being dragged, put it this way. So the first question is, do you have a choice? If you have a choice and you are still acting kind, then hats off to you. You are a kind person, really. You are spiritually evolving. Because I cannot stress this enough, it's the hallmark of spiritual progression. How kind you are to those who are equal to you. It's very easy to be kind. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm not even talking about empathy. Here, I'm simply talking about your real self, your true nature. Can you be kind to somebody who is not necessarily caressing your ego, who's not necessarily singing your glories? Can you be kind towards that person? If yes, then it is kindness. If no, then it's not kindness. This husband and wife had a massive argument, and the wife went to the kitchen. You can imagine she didn't exactly fetch pakoras from there. So she came out with this rolling pin and said, today I'm going to settle scores and I'll show you who's who and what's what. And the man said no, and he somehow closed the door and is inside. And she bangs open the door. And he runs underneath the bed, crawls in, and she can't get in because she hadn't been exercising. She was little, right? Now, man, you can well imagine if wife's very, fat. Usually husbands are very skinny. Usually, not always. So this husband managed to crawl in, but the wife, she couldn't get in. And she's brandishing that rolling pin and she said, out you come on, come out. And then she said, no way. Make me come out if you can. I'll show you who's the boss here. I'm not going to come out. I'll show you who the boss is. So if you don't have a choice, I suppose anything can be passed off as kindness then. But you have a choice and you are being kind, but the other person doesn't see that as your kindness, but sees that as your weakness, and it's affecting you beyond what you can really process without going mad, then I will give you the 2 golden rules. When I say rules, you always know these are just principles. First, ask yourself, what do I want from my life? It sounds very off track, off the tangent, but it will do miracles. You've got to ask yourself, what do I want from my life? A lot of the times what happens is people are not clear about it. And they spend their entire life blaming somebody else for what they aren't getting from their life. So the first question is, what do I want from my life? Spend some time thinking about it. Because believe me, you don't want to die thinking, I wish I'd done that when I could have. It's better to fail than to have never tried. So once you are clear about it, you communicate it to the other person. If they haven't seen you any other way, they don't even know that maybe this thing is not making you comfortable. Sometimes they don't know that this is affecting you so much. Some people are as sensitive as a cat. Some are as sensitive as a puppy. There's a huge difference. Once I saw this video on YouTube, by the way, where this person put some obstacles on the way, and a cat just moved around. They increased the number of obstacles, it didn't make any difference to the cat. It's just navigated its way around those obstacles without dropping a single object. Like pencils and glasses and very fragile things, even a card somewhere. Not even one thing dropped. The cat did not make a noise. And then came a dog. And he's sitting there, he's wagging his tail like anything, and he's looking, how do I go? Whatever, it just passes through and 50 things drop. So each creature's sensitivity is different. And you just have to understand, you just have to help the other person understand what really matters to you. And be prepared to meet midway. Ask them what matters to you. A lot of the times, what happens when 2 adults get used to fighting like cats and dogs, they never realize that actually there is another way to resolve conflict. They don't understand because they have not practiced the other side, the other way of doing things. So sit down, first be clear what you want from your life. Sit the other person down and tell them, look, this is what I need at the minimum for anything to work between us. And of course, you do remember, right, that I first asked you if you have a choice in this matter. Because if you don't have a choice, then you just have to keep on complaining. If you are with the other person because you really need them, I don't think you have a choice. Then you've got to do something so you build that choice into your life, where you can be independent and, and I think that's what really love is. Doesn't matter what you call it. A rose, even by any other name, would smell just as sweet still. Shakespeare. It doesn't matter what you call that emotion, what you call that understanding. You can call it love, you can call it care, you can call it kindness, anything you like. But it's essential to making something work amongst a group or between 2 people. And second, accept vulnerability. You are going to be vulnerable in a close relationship. If there was a synonym for love, it would be being vulnerable. You cannot do without it. If you step into the world and you want to buy something, let's say you really like something, a widget, I don't know, let's say a phone, it's worth $1,000. If you want to buy it, you come to terms with the fact that there is a price to pay. That if I pay $1,000, if I incur this cost, then I can buy this phone. Similarly, in being kind, there is a price to be paid. I never said kindness is free. It is, however, priceless. Yet still, there is a price to be paid. And if you ask me what the reward is, I cannot guarantee. Sometimes there may be no reward. I can't say you will be rewarded in another life, in another world, or you will be rewarded spiritually somehow. There are no guarantees. I cannot promise that there is going to be a reward of any kind. This man was knocking on somebody's door. It was really late into the evening, and the homeowner opened the door. He said, "What do you want?" He said, "Sir, there is a family. They are in great trouble. I've been going from door to door. They desperately need $3,000. And I've managed to raise 1,000. I'm still short of 2,000. I've heard a great deal about your kindness. So I've come to you with great hope." And the man said, "Okay, come on in, sit down. Tell me what the matter is." He said, "A very young family. They got 4 kids. The husband lost the job 6 months ago. He's out of job. The wife's just taking care of the home, and she can't go out and work. And if they don't get $3,000, if they're unable to pay their rent, by tomorrow they'll be kicked out. They'll be out on the street. And I would hate for that to happen. I really hope they can stay on and have a roof over their head." The man says, "Listen, God's given me enough." "What's the shortfall?" He said, 2,000. "Here's 2,000, he says. "Are we done?" He says, "Yes, this will take care of them for sure." He says, "But who are you, Are you related to them? And how come you are so kind? And I've never seen somebody raising funds for somebody else." He said, "I'm the landlord." I would hate to kick them out. They can't pay. So I thought, out of my kindness, I will go and raise that money for them. Now, this was another flavor of kindness. What I mean to say is, if you are pursuing the agenda of kindness because it is somehow solving your ulterior motive, then you know it is not kindness. If you do charity because you're an NGO, and you do it because if you don't, you get taxed, it's not really charity. You're not doing it because you care about charity. You're doing it because, well, you're thinking, let's oblige somebody rather than pay the taxman. So sometimes behind our kindness is some other story that's brewing, that's going on. We just have to be honest with ourselves. And so those are the 2 golden rules. I read this somewhere. It's better to lose your ego to the one you love than to lose the one you love to your ego. John Keats, by the way, said it. He also said something beautiful. He said, "I almost wish we were butterflies and lived but 3 summer days. 3 such days with you I could fill with more delight than 50 common years could ever contain." That whatever time you have with somebody, at least be honest, be truthful, tell them this is what appeals to you, this is what they want, come midway, make it work, rather than feeling poisoned, rather than feeling that the other person is not doing, not cutting it for you, or not being just. Since that was also John Keats, I may as well end with his quote. Then it's time for me to make tracks. I am certain of nothing, he says. I am certain of nothing but the holiness of the heart's affections. I'm certain of nothing but the holiness of the heart's affections and the truth of imagination.